That's a deep pass down the sideline.
Got him.
AC Jr. Hello again, everybody. I'm Evan Massoud. Welcome to the Fred TV Sports Report. Great to be with you this Friday night. For the past 16 summers, the Borden Light Marina has hosted competitive boaters for their annual charity poker run. Thanks to the interest this event has drawn over the years, both from participants and spectators, each poker run seems to top the previous one. And according to Michael and Nicole Lund, the 2023 edition was no different. Here's more from the waterfront. On the banks of the Taunton River sits a quiet boater's paradise and Fall River's connection to the open seas. But once a year, the sound of thunder can be heard from the otherwise peaceful marina. It's truly a sight to behold. Over 50 boats speeding off toward Mount Hope Bay, most of which generate as much horsepower as a 5-ton monster truck. We're talking serious power here and serious money at play, as many of these boats have a starting price tag of 7 figures. With so many poker runs across North America, and many of these drivers spending their summers on tour, it's quite the logistical challenge getting everyone to the same place at the same time. But for the Lunds, it's a labor of love.
We have months of planning that go into this event. And you know, short and sweet, what keeps us going is the charities. You know, all of the money we raise today goes to two great charities, Make-A-Wish, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and the Tunnel to Towers Foundation out of New York City.
The average cost of a wish is $10,000. Francis Marfiak was rather emotional in speaking about the impact a little generosity can have on an ill child or a grieving family.
Hopefully, I won't have to cry this year again when I see one of the films that you'd think make some of these guys that have a lot more money than a lot of people really open up their wallets.
They do.
Stu Jones and his boat Top Gun Flight 1130 of the Florida Powerboat Club has 9 poker runs on the schedule this summer outside of the Sunshine State. The 2000 model year cigarette Top Gun was purchased pre-owned 6 years ago. It gets the name from the sum of its power. Twin Mercury racing engines that produce 565 horses apiece. They visited Thousand Islands, New York, and Southern Maryland before coming here to Fall River, which has quickly become one of his favorite new locations.
I think it has a lot to do with the experience for me. I'm in the business now over 30 years, so I've been around the sport, and I think I've gotten to know a lot of people. So I find that for me, when I go to a destination that I've never been to, you know, it's kind of new and I don't know what to expect, and yet I arrive here and I feel like everything is all set and they roll out the red carpet. So it's very special for us to have that kind of a welcome here in Fall River. If you're into this sport and you're passionate about it like we are, there's no amount of miles that'll stop you from being at the best events. And this is certainly one of the best events in the country when, you know, with us guys who like doing poker runs.
In addition to the drivers, local businesses and community partners donated time and money to help make this a success, just like news anchor Patrick Little of WPRI 12 in Fox Providence. I had the privilege of interviewing Patrick when I was just a senior in high school, 16 short years ago. He was the sports director at the time. On this day, though, it's safe to say he had the only seat cooler than the one behind the news desk, the dunk tank platform.
Anytime someone asks us to do something like this, we say yes right away. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? And Mike and Nicole Lund are good friends of ours, and it's the least I can do to hop in this tank on a beautiful summer day and fall in this thing for half an hour to raise money for charity, so I'm all on board.
It's just really special what these organizations do for people, and for us to put on an event like this, to have fun and raise money, it's very fulfilling, and that's what keeps us going every year.
All in good fun, all for a good cause. That's what keeps people coming back and what helped make this year's poker run one of the biggest yet, with the auction alone raising over $60,000. Francis Marfiak, owner of Yeah Baby, had won the last 3 years, but that streak came to an end this summer with William Whalen taking first place and Stephen Smith coming in second, both of whom donated their winnings right back into the pot. The annual poker run has become one of the single largest donors to the local Make-A-Wish chapters. And we'll stay in the South End now and head over to Chew Park as the Fribble Playoffs have begun. Let's take a look at the standings and see how the regular season came to an end. The Dodgers were the team to beat here in 2023, far and away the strongest of the five. We saw a lot of movement in the middle of the pack by the Brewers and the Twins during mid to late July, and they overtook the Smokies, who did not recover and have been eliminated from the playoff race. Braves seeded number 2, Brewers seeded number 3 in what figures to be the more balanced matchup of the semifinal round. We'll pick it up in the top of the first. Brewers getting out to the fast start. 1 out, bases juiced for Franco DeRay. Lines it into right center. Connor Smith trots home from third with the first run of the game. 1-0 Brewers. Next up at the plate, Dallas Nunes keeps it going. Gets a fastball down in the zone, brings the hands in and takes it the other way. Well-placed bloop will plate 2 more. Connie Boff in from third. Bob Whalen from second. Brew Crew hangs 3 on the board. 3-0 after half an inning. Bottom 1 now. Boff with a lockdown first frame after getting some early run support. Back-to-back Ks to retire the side. We'll jump to the 4th now. Second and third opportunity with 2 down for DeRay. He cashes in once again. High deep drive falls fair down the left field line. Connor Smith and Bob Whalen each score their second runs. DeRay with 3 RBI on the day in what essentially was the game winner. The Braves would cut it to a 2-run game, but that's as close as they would get. The Brewers win a tight one, 5-3 the final, take a 1-0 lead in the series. And as we pull up the playoff bracket, the Braves would get their bats going in Game 2 to the tune of 19 runs. They even up the best-of-3 series at 1 win apiece. The Dodgers, meanwhile, playing the waiting game now after making quick work of the Twins in the top half of the bracket, sweeping them in 2 games. They are in the finals and looking for their first championship since 2013. The deciding Game 3 for the Braves and the Brewers was scheduled for this evening, but with the forecast, it has been moved to Sunday at 7 p.m. We will have Game 3 highlights on next week's program. Now, with the SY 2024 school year beginning next week, the Summer Hoops League wrapped up at Durfee, but not before we had the chance to speak with one of the organizers, Hilltoppers boys basketball head coach Joe DeCruz. The league ran on Tuesday and Thursday evenings throughout most of July and August and was open to players from 3rd to 12th grade. Unlike the Skills and Drills program that ran Monday and Wednesday evenings, this was competitive league play. And considering the 9-month-long drought in between hoops seasons, Coach was especially happy to see many Hilltoppers staying active and being physically productive during the summer months.
As we're well aware, in the summer, that's when kids tend to get in trouble because they don't have many things to do. So providing this opportunity, I think it's huge. And like I said, there's a strong possibility we can carry this over into the school year. We don't want to interfere with what's going on with the middle school leagues and such, or the elementary school leagues. But this is something that we think is extremely important because, again, it's giving them something positive, keeping them off the streets, teaching them the game and how to play the right way. So I think, again, it's nothing short of amazing. It's positive, and it's what the city needs. So we all need.
The traditional 5-on-5 structure was such a hit that Coach and his staff had to close registration early and open a waiting list. Over 120 kids signed up. The league concluded last week with a traditional elimination-style playoff round. And given the success of this first year, Coach says they will plan for larger numbers in 2024 so that more players can join the league. Now, staying at Durfee, as I mentioned back in July, we were going to catch up with Fall River Public Schools COO Ken Pacheco regarding what's left to be done here at the beautiful Durfee Athletic Complex. One of the last pieces of real estate to be touched is Field 5. It's the upper multi-purpose grass field in the westernmost part of the facility. As you see here, the Fred TV drone caught the construction crews beginning their work. Plans for Field 5 will be a bit more budget-friendly than the rest of the stadiums, but nonetheless, a major improvement, as Mr. Pacheco explains.
That field will always stay natural grass. The infield will be a clay surface. To make the distances, because it's a short field, we'll have a line painted on the netting. That'll be a home run over the line and a ground rule double under the line. So it'll be a full field for competition purposes. and a nice place to do batting practice, things like that, where you won't be shacking balls, over a fence. New fencing, no lighting on that field, no scoreboard on that field, but that field will be brand new with dugouts and a pristine playing surface.
Punch list items this summer included the new dugouts and scoreboards at the varsity baseball and softball stadiums, and a new multi-sport scoreboard was also installed at the practice turf to be used for soccer, football, and field hockey. Its location is also fan and broadcaster friendly, visible from all corners of the field. With the outdoor facilities nearly 100%, it not only puts Durfee back on the map, but the school stands a good chance at once again being a neutral site for outdoor MIAA state tournament events, something we haven't seen here in nearly a decade. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Sports Report. Next week, we wrap up summer 2023. We've got lots to cover. You won't want to miss it. So join me Friday at 7:30 right here on Fred TV. Until then, for our studio crew, Alex Mello, Craig Salvador, David Montero, and our director, Mike Ferreira, I'm Evan Massoud. Have a great weekend.